Emma had just moved into an old apartment building at the edge of the city. It wasn't beautiful. The walls were cracked, the wooden floor creaked with every step, and the hallway lights flickered every night. The landlord smiled and said, "Don't worry. It's an old building. It makes strange noises." Emma laughed. "I've lived in older places." The first night was quiet. The second night, at exactly 2:13 a.m., she woke up. She wasn't sure why. Then she heard it. A soft whisper, very close. "Can you hear me?" Emma sat up in bed. She looked around the room. Nothing. The whisper came again. "Please." She froze. The voice wasn't outside the window. It wasn't in the hallway. It was coming from inside the wall beside her bed. She pressed her ear against it. Silence. She almost convinced herself she had imagined everything. Then, 3 slow knocks. Knock. 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 Emma jumped back. Her heart was racing. She grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight. Nothing. The wall looked completely normal. The next morning, she asked her elderly neighbor, "Have you ever heard strange sounds in this building?" The old woman stopped smiling. "You heard it too?" Emma stared at her. "What do you mean?" The woman looked around to make sure no one else was listening. Then she whispered, "Never answer the voice." Emma laughed nervously. "You think someone's living inside the walls?" The woman didn't laugh. "I thought the same thing until my husband disappeared." Emma's smile vanished. "What?" The old woman slowly closed her apartment door. Before it shut completely, she said one final sentence. "It always starts with a whisper." Emma couldn't stop thinking about those words. That night, she stayed awake. She promised herself she wouldn't listen. She wouldn't go near the wall. She wouldn't answer. 2:13 a.m. Right on time. The whisper returned. This time it sounded clearer. "Emma." She stopped breathing. It knew her name. Then, for the first time, the voice said something that made her blood run cold. "I'm not behind the wall. You're on the wrong side of it." Emma's hands were shaking. She slowly stepped away from the wall. "No, this isn't real," she whispered.
The voice spoke again. Look behind your bookshelf. Emma stared at the old bookshelf beside the wall. She pushed it aside. Hidden behind it was a small wooden door she had never noticed before. Her heart pounded as she opened it. Inside, she found a tiny, dusty room. There was nothing inside except an old chair and a tape recorder. She pressed the play button. A frightened voice filled the room. "My name is Emma. If you're hearing this, don't trust the wall. It copies voices, even yours. Leave now before it learns every—" Emma froze. It was her own voice. Before she could move, the whisper came one last time. Too late. The wall began to crack. Hundreds of voices whispered together. Now it's your turn. The next morning, the apartment was empty. Emma had disappeared. A week later, a new tenant moved into the apartment. At 2:13 a.m., the new tenant woke up to a soft whisper coming from the wall. "Can you hear me?" The end.